This is exactly what we're talking about. I want this, but it isn't here yet. So how do I calibrate to its presence when its absence is so obvious to me? So here we are in this moment, deciding that we're going to calibrate together. And it's not unusual. In fact, it would happen to most anybody. The presence of something isn't happening. In fact, you've got the absence of something. But then as you calibrate away from what you want, it gets feeling worse and worse and worse, more and more and more intense. And a lot of people are comfortable there because it's the way it's been. And all of their friendships revolve around this. If you suddenly get happy, all your friends won't know what to do with you. So let's begin the calibration process. You all right with this? Yeah. Let's start general, because that feels better to you. So we know these thoughts just come into your mind. We know that you're obsessed with them. We know that anytime you're doing almost anything, you're sort of eaten up with this stream of thoughts that's flowing into your mind. But now something will be different for you than has been before, because we've had this concentrated conversation about how, as long as that's going on, things cannot improve. And the thing that we most want you to understand, all of you, is that this calibration is not for the purpose of wrestling that prize away from that other person and bringing it to you, because that's what manipulation is. This is not manipulation. This is calibration. This is calibrating to your power, to your highest good, to your feeling of clarity, to your feeling of who you really are. It's to cause you in your physical form to be a more consistent point of attraction to what you want. The law of attraction is the manager of this universe, and you are emanating signals all the time, and the law of attraction is responding to the signal that you are emanating. And if you don't have control over the signal that you're emanating, then you're getting a lot of things all over the place and wanting to blame somebody else for them. So rather than continuing to feel bad, terrible really, about this, your intention now is to calibrate yourself into alignment with who you really are. Sometimes we've encouraged this over time. Get off that subject and get on another subject. It's easy to do that, really, and to calibrate. We teach people meditation because it's easier to teach you to have no thought than to have pure positive thought about something. That would be like watching someone. Esther received this analogy the other day, and it took her breath away. It was so exciting to her. She saw in her mind's eye a skier going down the ski slope and tumbling out of control, and she heard herself and other well-wishers on the sidelines yelling at that skier, "Stop!" But he didn't, because the momentum was underway. Well, there is a thought momentum, a vibrational momentum. We can't tell you stop thinking like that and expect you to stop any more than that skier could not go off the cliff. Momentum is a real thing. Momentum is law of attraction already in motion. And so don't ask yourself to abruptly stop. What you're wanting to do is just to gently change your trajectory. And so there are a few things we want to say about this. First, you can't not think about it because of that momentum. That's the thing. You're not going to suddenly just stop thinking about it. And because you're not going to stop thinking about it, you're going to continue to think about it. But you could catch yourself thinking about it, and if you're willing, you could gradually calibrate it. That's what all those processes are about, but we'll do some really effective ones here in a moment with you. You can calibrate as you go. That's one way of going about it. Or, and what we really mean is and, or do both. If you'll get out ahead of it, if you'll start your day by basking about something that you sincerely feel good about, if you'll tune into who you really are, if you'll meditate first and quiet your mind, then you have a much better chance during the day of having some effectiveness with your calibration. Now, we have said to you before, you don't have to go back and clean up anything. Therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists have been trying to help you clean up stuff forever, and we're not really big with that, because usually while you're trying to clean it up, you're messing it up. Usually you're just activating the vibration and keeping it going longer, like forever, for your whole life experience. It's like your therapists die and you have to get new ones. That's how long this goes on. But if it's something that consumes you and keeps coming up, and when it does, it feels bad, then this is not going to be something that you can just forget about. This is something that you got to clean up. And as you start cleaning it up, we'll show you how. What usually happens is other things like it will show themselves to you also. And as those other things like it show themselves to you also, and you deliberately calibrate around them, it doesn't take very long before you've really adjusted your point of attraction and you have not left your vibration on those troubling subjects where you last left it. It's in a new place, which means everything around that subject will respond differently to you. This is a lovely experience that you get to live. You're molding the clay of your life. You get to deliberately think and then watch what happens, and deliberately think and watch what happens, and then not deliberately think and notice something that happens and then decide about that and then watch what happens. You're going to get yourself in the driver's seat. You're going to begin to feel control of your own life experience. You're going to understand that the law of attraction is a real thing and that you're not using it, it's using you. The law of attraction is responding to your frequency. People say, yeah, I'm just learning to use the law of attraction. And we say, the same way you're learning to use gravity. You don't have any control over the functionality of the law of gravity or the law of attraction. There's a momentum in it, but you can situate yourself within it in a way that works for you instead of against you. Does that make sense? All right, so a good conversation. So take your notebook and just write the situation that's the hot topic, and then just make a few brief statements about it. Someone always gets what I want. Some things that I want I cannot get. This is a pattern that's been going on with me. I recognize it when I start seeing it. It sucks. It's not fair. I feel injustice. I feel taken advantage of. I feel not good at this. I feel not capable. You're identifying where you're at. In fact, you're just speaking openly about what you are recognizing is your point of attraction. So now, once you've sort of vented onto your page, and we wouldn't write more than 4 or 5 statements. It's a sort of venting. Some would call it a release. It isn't a release. It's an activation. It didn't get smaller. It got bigger as you wrote it. And if you wrote longer, you could fill the whole damn book. More and more and more thoughts would come. Then the phone would ring and you'd say, yeah, I was just thinking about this, and off you go. But instead here, you've decided that you're going to calibrate. So you reread your statement and you say something like, somebody always gets what I want. And then you could reach for something that feels better, reach for how your inner being sees it, and you could write, always is a very strong word. It's not even a true word. It's not always. It's just sometimes. It's just sometimes. And it's not everything I want. It's just occasionally something that I really want. We're appealing to your reasoning, but we're also appealing to active vibrations that are within you, vibrations that are logical. In other words, I actually am pretty good at a lot of things, and many things have come to me, and I know that there's not just one finite pile that we're all picking from, that the pile is growing with our desires. And I do understand that in living of life, I've created a vortex. Do you know that? I've created a vibrational reality that is mine. Nobody else can get that stuff. So what I've been saying isn't even true. It isn't that somebody's getting my stuff. It's that I'm not moving toward my stuff for some reason. I'm not letting myself get my stuff. I'm not letting myself get my stuff. Why am I not letting myself get my stuff? It's my stuff. Nobody else can get my stuff. Why am I not letting myself get my stuff? Because I've decided that those people over there are going to get my stuff. How dumb is that? You're saying this to yourself. That doesn't even make any sense. Nobody's getting my stuff. That's just been a sort of shortcut reasoning that doesn't work for me. I'm not going to calibrate to that. I'm calibrating to my strengths, not my weaknesses. to my wholeness, to my clarity, not to my confusion. Now, that might be all that you want to do in one sitting, and it's enough. That's enough that with just that much logic and desire to feel better, once you get the flow of that, it's like thoughts that your inner being is thinking about this begin to flow into your mind too. You actually begin feeling that wholeness. And then as you walk away from it, put your book down and go attract something else that bothers you. For a while, it may be like that. Esther got her book out 100 times a day for a while. Every time she turned around, there was some other little thing that she could calibrate on till she reached the point, oh, good, something to calibrate about. She said, I hope I'm not looking for trouble because it's so much fun to calibrate around it. So put your book down and just know this. You're in a different point of attraction now because of that brief, intentional recalibration toward what your inner being knows. Does that make sense? And then you'll stumble over something else. So here you are, situation. I'm not absolutely certain that what's in my vortex is my stuff. Feels like if it was my stuff, it'd come to me more easily. Wonder what I'm doing wrong that's keeping my stuff from coming to me. Why am I not getting more help? In other words, just feel your guts for a minute. Don't get carried away with it. And then go to calibrate. So how do I know that what's in my vortex is my stuff? How do I even really know that there's a vortex? How do I even really know that when I know what I don't want, that what I do want has become a vibrational reality? So now we're going to tell you something that we know, and we know you will remember this, but this is a strong basis of shoring up that understanding. If my inner being and its love did not exist, then my hatred would not hurt me so much. If my vortex and all that I've asked for did not exist, then my looking in opposition of it wouldn't feel bad. This is the thing that we want you to hear. When you let the circumstance of your moment be what calibrates you, when you calibrate to things like that, and then you try to manipulate or use words in action to make it better, which never works, it feels worse and worse and worse. But when you understand that that's what you've been doing, and you make some intention to do otherwise, and then you do otherwise, and you do feel better, and you do notice the difference in your point of attraction because you did recalibrate and you are more in alignment with what's in your vortex, then more of what you want comes. Everything in your world is about calibration. Everything in your physics, everything in your world is calibration. Do you know how much calibration is happening around you? Everything is calibrated. And when you decide that you're going to utilize your understanding of the law of attraction in a way that's productive and useful, and utilize your emotional guidance system in order to help you to calibrate where you're at, then what you begin to notice is that the law of attraction is your best friend. And your emotional guidance system is so wonderful because it lets you know right where you're at in everything. Life experience sort of has to get your attention. Your guidance system is calling you. But if you're so sure that you're undervalued, if you're so sure that you aren't good at this, if you're so sure that life isn't good for you, then even though your inner being is calling you right to where you want to be, you could be off in some other neighborhood, just wandering around, sure that you're right, and getting others to agree with you. Yep, you're right on schedule, but you can't get there from there. Sometimes it has to get absurd. Sometimes it has to get bad enough that you're willing to say, maybe there's another way of going about this. And then once you reach that point, maybe there's another way of going about this, then the path lights up all bright again when you're not dug in to the old beliefs that haven't been working and defending the old beliefs that haven't been working, you see.